Walk through any Japanese neighborhood and you'll see something remarkable. 80-year-olds climbing stairs without handrails, 90-year-olds walking to the market with perfect posture, centenarians who've never touched a walker. Meanwhile, in America, 43% of people over 75 depend on mobility aids just to move around their own homes. Here's what's even more striking. Japan has over 95,000 centenarians living independently. Compare that to the United States, where the average person starts losing mobility, independence at 68, followed by years of progressive decline, walkers, and eventually wheelchairs. The Japanese aren't just living longer, they're staying mobile longer. And no, it's not genetics. Studies of Japanese Americans show they lose this mobility advantage within one generation of adopting Western lifestyles. It's not their diet alone either. It's something far simpler and far more powerful. I spent 3 months studying elder movement patterns in Japan from Okinawa to Tokyo, and what I discovered will change how you think about aging. The secret isn't expensive physical therapy or complex exercise programs, it's 5 simple daily habits, so embedded in Japanese culture that most people don't even recognize them as mobility training. These habits require no equipment, no gym membership, and no special flexibility. They're movement patterns you can start integrating today, right now, regardless of your current mobility level. Because the goal isn't just to avoid needing a walker, it's to move through life with confidence, strength, and complete independence. Before we dive into the first habit, drop a comment below and tell me what's your biggest fear about losing mobility as you age. I read every comment, and I'll personally respond with specific advice. And if you want to discover all 5 habits that keep Japanese elders walker-free, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. All right, let's start with the habit that sets the foundation for everything else. This is the 15-minute morning ritual that's been keeping Japanese joints young since 1928. Since 1928, millions of Japanese people have started every single morning the same way with a simple movement routine that takes exactly 15 minutes. This is an optional morning yoga or an exercise class. It's called Radio Taiso, and it's so embedded in Japanese culture that employers give workers time to do it. Schools start the day with it, and entire neighborhoods gather in parks at 6:30 a.m. to practice together. Now, before you think this is just some quirky cultural tradition, understand what's actually happening to your body during those first 15 minutes after waking up. Your joints have been immobile for 6 to 8 hours. The synovial fluid that lubricates your cartilage has thickened. Your muscles are cold and contracted. Your nervous system is still in sleep mode. Most Americans roll out of bed, shuffle to the coffee maker, and sit down for breakfast. That stiffness you feel, it never fully goes away. It compounds day after day, year after year, until suddenly you can't touch your toes, can't turn your head to check your blind spot, can't get down on the floor to play with your grandchildren. But Radio ISO does something brilliant. It systematically wakes up every major joint in your body through gentle, controlled movements. Not stretching, not exercise. Movement. There's a critical difference. The routine starts with arm circles and shoulder rotations, simple movements that circulate fresh synovial fluid into your shoulder joints. Then it moves to gentle twisting motions that wake up your spine. Next come leg swings and knee rotations that prepare your hips and knees for the day ahead. Finally, ankle circles and toe raises that activate the small stabilizer muscles in your feet. Here's what makes this so effective. Research from Tokyo Metropolitan University found that people who practiced morning joint mobility had 37% less joint stiffness throughout the day compared to those who didn't. Their range of motion stayed preserved even into their 80s and 90s. The movements aren't random either. They follow your body's natural kinetic chains. You start from the center and work outward, or you begin at the extremities and work inward. Either way, you're creating a cascade of neural activation that tells your entire musculoskeletal system it's time to move. Now, you don't need to join a group in the park at dawn or follow a radio broadcast in Japanese. I'm going to give you a simplified 5-minute version you can do right now in your living room in your pajamas. Start with 10 slow arm circles forward, then 10 backward. Move to gentle neck rotations, 5 each direction. Add 10 torso twists, keeping your hips stable. Then do 10 leg swings per leg, holding a chair for balance if needed. Finish with 20 ankle circles and 10 calf raises. That's it. 5 minutes. No equipment, no sweat, no strain, just gentle movement that floods your joints with fresh fluid and wakes up your nervous system. Do this every morning for 2 weeks. And notice how much easier it is to move through your day. The Japanese have proven that how you start your morning determines how your joints age. But morning movement is just the foundation. The next habit happens dozens of times every single day and builds the exact strength that prevents walker dependency. The average Japanese elder gets up from the floor and back down again 20 to 30 times per day. The average American elder less than once a month. That single difference might explain why 78% of Japanese people over 80 can still climb stairs independently while only 41% of Americans can. Here's what most people don't realize about floor-based living. It's not just a cultural preference. It's the most effective full-body strength training system ever designed. And it happens automatically, dozens of times daily, without anyone thinking of it as exercise. Traditional Japanese homes are built around floor living, low tables for meals, futons that get rolled out at night and put away in the morning, Caesar sitting during tea ceremonies, tatami mats instead of furniture. Every single one of these cultural elements forces your body to perform what physical therapists call a floor-to-stand transition. Let me break down what happens biomechanically when you get up from the floor. First, your quadriceps and glutes fire to lift your body weight against gravity. Then, your core stabilizers engage to keep you balanced as you shift your center of mass. Your hip flexors and ankle stabilizers coordinate to control the movement. Finally, your postural muscles activate to bring you fully upright. That's a complete compound movement working every major muscle group in your lower body. And Japanese elders do this 20 to 30 times daily. It's like doing 20 to 30 squats, lunges, and core exercises combined. Except it's not exercise. It's just living. Compare that to Western life. We sit in chairs, we sleep in high beds, we use elevated toilets. We've engineered every floor transition out of our daily routine. The result? Our legs get weaker year after year because we never challenge them. But here's the real genius of floor-based living. It doesn't just build strength. It builds the specific strength that prevents falls. Studies show that people who can get up from the floor without using their hands have an 83% lower mortality risk over the next 6 years. Why? Because the ability to get up from the floor requires the exact strength and coordination you need to catch yourself when you stumble. Now, if you haven't sat on the floor in years, don't panic. You're not going to throw away your furniture tomorrow, but you can start integrating floor time strategically right now. Start simple tonight. When you watch TV, sit on the floor for just 10 minutes. Use cushions for comfort. Lean against the couch if you need to. The goal isn't perfection. It's to remind your body what floor level feels like. Next, practice the floor to stand transition with modifications. Begin in a kneeling position. Place one foot forward into a lunge. Push through that front foot to stand up. If you need to hold onto a sturdy chair or coffee table, do this 3 to 5 times, then switch legs. The most common mistake I see is people trying to muscle their way up using only their arms. That defeats the entire purpose. Your legs should do 90% of the work. Your hands are just for light balance support, not for hauling your body weight up. As you get stronger, reduce your hand support. Go from 2 hands to 1 hand, then from 1 hand to fingertips only. Eventually, you'll stand up without touching anything. That's when you know your legs have the strength to keep you walker-free. Floor strength is absolutely crucial for mobility independence. But strength means nothing if every step you take is destroying your joints. That's where the third habit comes in, and it's going to completely change how you walk. Japanese elders don't just walk more, they walk differently. Biomechanical researchers discovered that traditional Japanese walking patterns create 32% less impact on knee joints while activating 47% more stabilizer muscles. The secret? It's all in how their feet touch the ground. Watch an elderly Japanese person walk down the street. Their steps are shorter. Their feet land softer. Their posture stays upright. Now watch the typical Western walking pattern. Long strides, heavy heel strikes, forward-leaning posture. One preserves joints, the other destroys them. Here's what's happening at the impact level. When you take a typical Western stride, your heel slams into the ground first. That impact sends a shockwave up through your ankle, knee, and hip. Studies using force plates show that heel striking generates impact forces 2 to 3 times your body weight with every single step. Do the math. If you weigh 160 pounds and you take 8,000 steps a day, that's millions of pounds of cumulative impact on your joints every single week, year after year, decade after decade. No wonder knee replacements have increased 400% in the last 20 years. But traditional Japanese walking is different. It comes from centuries of wearing ghetto, those wooden sandals with elevated platforms. You can't heel strike and you'd fall over. So, Japanese people developed a mid-foot striking pattern, where the entire foot lands more evenly, distributing force across the whole structure. The stride length is shorter, too, about 10 to 15% shorter than Western walking. This isn't shuffling, it's controlled, frequent steps that keep your center of mass stable. Think of it like this. Would you rather take giant leaps across unstable rocks or small, careful steps? Your joints prefer the latter. There's also the posture component. Traditional Japanese walking maintains an upright spine with the core gently engaged. Western walkers often lean forward, letting momentum pull them along. That forward lean disengages your core and puts extra stress on your lower back and hips. Now here's where modern footwear has absolutely destroyed our natural walking mechanics. Thick-soled running shoes with elevated heels encourage heel striking. Rigid soles prevent your foot from flexing naturally. Arch support weakens the intrinsic muscles that create your natural arch. We've essentially put our feet in casts and wondered why they stopped working properly. The fix starts with awareness. Next time you walk, pay attention to how your foot contacts the ground. Are you slamming your heel down? Try landing with your midfoot instead. Not on your toes, just a flatter, softer landing where your whole foot meets the ground more evenly. Shorten your stride slightly. Instead of reaching way out in front of you, let your foot land closer to your body. This immediately reduces impact forces and improves your balance. Engage your core. Imagine a string pulling the top of your head toward the sky. Let your shoulders relax. This upright posture activates your deep stabilizers and takes pressure off your joints. Practice these 3 changes on every walk. At first, it'll feel strange. Your brain has decades of heel striking programming. But within 2 to 3 weeks, this new pattern will start to feel natural. Your knees will thank you. Your hips will thank you. Your entire body will move with less pain and more efficiency. Walking correctly protects your knees from impact damage, but there's still one joint that determines whether you stay mobile or end up dependent on a walker. And most people have already lost half their range of motion without even realizing it. Watch a Japanese elder sit down in C position, knees folded, sitting on their heels, and you're witnessing something most 70-year-old Americans physically cannot do. The difference isn't flexibility. It's daily hip movement patterns that keep the joints lubricated and mobile decade after decade. Here's the uncomfortable truth about your hips. Right now, as you're watching this, if you're sitting in a chair, your hips are locked at 90 degrees. When you drive to work, 90 degrees. When you eat dinner, 90 degrees. When you watch TV at night, 90 degrees. Your hips spend 12 to 16 hours every single day in the exact same position. Think of your hip joint like a ball and socket wrapped in a capsule of connective tissue. That capsule needs to move through its full range to stay supple. When you only use 90 degrees of motion, the unused ranges start to tighten, stiffen, and eventually freeze up completely. It's like only bending your elbow halfway for years and then wondering why you can't straighten your arm. Medical researchers call this adaptive shortening. Your body literally adapts to the positions you use most frequently. If you only sit in chairs, your hip flexors shorten, your glutes weaken, and your capsule tightens. Within 10 to 15 years, you've lost 40 to 50% of your natural hip mobility, and you don't even realize it until you try to squat down or tie your shoes. But traditional Japanese culture prevents this entirely through daily position variety. Sisa sitting creates deep knee flexion and ankle dorsiflexion. Agura or cross-legged sitting opens the hips in external rotation. Squatting while gardening or doing household tasks takes the hips through full flexion. These aren't exercises. They're just different ways of existing that happen to preserve your joints. The hip mobility advantage creates a cascade of benefits. When your hips move freely, your lower back doesn't have to compensate for lost motion. When your hips are strong in deep ranges, your knees don't take excessive stress. When your hips are open, your balance improves because your center of mass can shift properly. Studies from the Japanese Orthopedic Association found that people who maintained full hip mobility into their 70s had an 89% lower rate of walker dependency compared to those with restricted hips. Your hips are literally the difference between independent movement and assisted living. Now, if your hips are already tight, don't worry. You can start restoring mobility today with 3 simple positions you can do while watching TV or reading. First, practice a supported squat. Stand facing a sturdy table or countertop. Hold on with both hands. Slowly lower yourself into as deep a squat as you can manage. Don't force it. Just go to the point of gentle tension. Hold for 30 to 60 seconds. This opens your hips, ankles, and lower back simultaneously. Second, sit cross-legged on the floor for 5 to 10 minutes daily. Use cushions under your hips to elevate yourself if needed. Let gravity gently pull your knees toward the floor. This creates external rotation and opens the front of your hips. Third, practice the couch stretch for your hip flexors. Kneel on the floor next to your couch. Place one knee on the couch seat with your shin against the backrest. Step the other foot forward into a lunge position. Gently push your hips forward until you feel a stretch in the front of your back hip. Hold for 60 to 90 seconds per side. The most common mistake is trying to push into painful ranges too quickly. Your hips didn't get tight overnight. They won't open up overnight. Consistency beats intensity. 3 minutes of gentle hip work daily will create more lasting change than 1 hour of aggressive stretching per week. Mobile hips are absolutely essential for staying walker-free, but even perfect hip mobility won't save you if you can't maintain your balance when the ground shifts beneath you. That's where the 5th habit comes in, and it's hiding in plain sight. Japanese elders aren't doing balance exercises. They're living in an environment that constantly challenges their balance. From genan entryways where you step up and remove shoes to narrow streets that require careful navigation to uneven temple grounds they visit weekly. Balance training is so integrated into daily life, they don't even recognize it as exercise. Here's what most people don't know about balance. It's not a skill you either have or don't have. It's a neurological system that requires constant varied challenges to stay sharp. Your vestibular system in your inner ear, your visual system, and your proprioceptive sensors in your joints all work together to keep you upright. But like any system, if you don't use it, you lose it. The Western world has engineered balance out of daily life. Flat sidewalks, handrails everywhere, level floors, bright lighting. We've made everything so predictable and safe that our balance systems have atrophied from lack of stimulation. Then we wonder why 70% of people over 75 experience balance problems. Traditional Japanese environments do the opposite. The Genkan is a perfect example. This is the entryway where you remove your shoes before entering a home. It's raised 6 to 8 inches above the main floor level. Every time you enter or leave, you step up or down, while balancing on one leg to remove or put on shoes. That's a dynamic balance challenge happening multiple times daily. Walk through any Japanese neighborhood and you'll encounter narrow streets barely wide enough for one car. You're constantly stepping aside, navigating around objects, adjusting your path. Your balance system has to recalibrate continuously. Compare that to walking through a wide, empty mall or suburban sidewalk where you can zone out completely. Then there are temple and shrine visits. Millions of Japanese elders visit these sacred places weekly. The pathways are often made of uneven stone. The stairs have no handrails. The grounds include gravel, grass, and wooden walkways. Each surface requires different balance strategies. It's like a balance obstacle course disguised as a cultural practice. But here's the neurological genius of this approach. Your brain learns balance through novelty and challenge. Walking on the same flat treadmill every day teaches your brain one pattern. Navigating varied terrain teaches your brain to adapt instantly to any surface. That adaptability is what prevents falls. Research from Kyoto University found that people who regularly exposed themselves to varied walking surfaces had 43% better balance recovery responses when they stumbled compared to those who only walked on predictable terrain. Their nervous systems had learned to react faster and more effectively. Now, you don't need to visit Japanese temples to build this balance resilience. You can create environmental challenges right in your own home starting today. First, practice single leg standing during boring daily tasks. While brushing your teeth, stand on one leg for 30 seconds, then switch. While washing dishes, alternate legs every minute. While waiting for coffee to brew, close your eyes and balance on one foot. These micro challenges add up to serious balance improvements. Second, create textured pathways in your home. Place a thick bath mat in your hallway. Walk across it several times daily. The unstable surface forces your ankle stabilizers to work. Progress to standing on the mat while doing other tasks like folding laundry or talking on the phone. Third, seek out varied terrain on your walks. Instead of staying on smooth pavement, deliberately walk on grass, gravel, or packed dirt trails. Navigate around obstacles, step over curbs. Your brain needs this environmental variety to maintain sharp balance reflexes. The most important principle is progressive challenge. Start with stable surfaces and open eyes. Progress to unstable surfaces with open eyes. Then try stable surfaces with closed eyes. Finally, unstable surfaces with reduced vision. Always have something nearby to grab if needed, but challenge yourself to balance without touching. Balance training hidden in daily life is the final piece of the mobility independence puzzle. But these 5 habits don't work in isolation. They create a synergistic system that compounds over time into something far more powerful than any single intervention. Remember those Japanese elders we talked about at the beginning? The ones climbing stairs without handrails, walking to the market with perfect posture, living their entire lives without ever touching a walker. They're not genetically superior. They're not superhuman. They simply never stopped doing 5 basic things that Western culture engineered out of daily life. 15 minutes of morning movement to wake up their joints. 20 to 30 floor transitions daily to build functional strength. Mid-foot striking and shorter strides to protect their knees. Hip opening positions that preserve full range of motion. Environmental balance challenges hidden in every part of their day. These aren't isolated exercises. They're a complete system that compounds over time. Each habit reinforces the others. Morning mobility makes floor transitions easier. Floor strength improves walking mechanics. Better walking protects your hips. Mobile hips enhance your balance. Better balance gives you confidence to move more. And the cycle continues. The difference between staying independent and needing a walker isn't dramatic. It's not one catastrophic event. It's the accumulation of small daily choices over decades. You don't need to change your entire life. You just need to pick one habit and start today. Here's your challenge. Choose one habit from this video. Just one. Commit to it for 2 weeks. Morning movement, floor sitting, walking pattern correction, hip mobility, or balance challenges. 2 weeks. That's it. Then come back and tell me what changed. Drop a comment right now and tell me which habit you're starting with and why. I read every single comment, and I'll personally respond with specific tips for your situation. And if we reach 100 comments, I'll release the advanced Japanese mobility protocol that even physical therapists don't know about. If you found this valuable, hit that subscribe button. We've got more mobility secrets coming your way because you deserve to move through life with strength, confidence, and complete independence, no matter your age.